Welcome to the Old West in Rattlesnake Canyon. If you're a participant in Rattlesnake Canyon, you walk into a room and you sit at a table. Typically there are 3 or 4 folks to a table, and each table represents either a family of settlers, which is this group here, or a family of merchants, which is this group here. We pretty well split the room in half. The settlers, in their bag, if they were to dump their bag out, have lots of things. They have the Old West Rattler, and they have money, and they have charts to work with, and a number of things. And essentially, their objective is to go to a supply depot, and the supply depot is made up of a number of things. We have the steamboat, and we have the mule train, and the wagon train, and so on, and they are able to purchase from these various supply depots things which go to make up a railroad. Because on the other side of Rattlesnake Canyon, we want to build a railroad. Eagle Bend Railroad has said, you know what, we'll buy everything that you make. So the settlers go, okay, not bad. Settlers come along and they buy things like horses and pigs and cows and sheep and saddle blankets and saddles and canteens. And then they take them to the merchants. And the merchants assemble those things into a form that the railroad wants. The railroad doesn't just want one horse. The railroad wants 10 horses, 10 pigs, 10 cows, 10 sheep, and 10 goats. And that has to be assembled into a kit. So the merchants add value to what they purchase from the settlers, and then they take it to the railroad, and the railroad buys it. So you sort of have a supply chain here. Think of that as a supply chain, where at the far end you have the customer who is purchasing, and at this end here you have the access to raw materials. And the settlers and the merchants are the folks in between, which kind of represent what goes on in your company. So for example, the settlers could be analogous to the internal workings of your operation, and the merchants could be analogous to a sales force. And the real learning in Rattlesnake Canyon comes as we look at how the settlers and the merchants interface with one another, and how do they interact in order to optimize the throughput, to get as much from here through the added value chain to here for the maximum profit. And there are a number of ways in which that happens, which is what the experience brings to life. So as you step back into the Old West, you're either a settler or a merchant, and how you interact is where the fun is, as well as the learning.